The Displaced by R.M. Scruggs. Exterior Mountains, day 1925. Two hawks glide across the Shenandoah Valley, soar over the Blue Ridge Mountains, an ancient mountain chain worn down to graceful peaks. The hawks soar above farms dotted with grazing cows, towns, churches, winding dirt roads. Exterior well-kept farm, continuous. The hawks fly over a fenced pasture with cows, a stout barn, a bountiful vegetable garden. A sturdy farmhouse fronts the dirt road. Blooming hydrangea bushes flank the front steps. Super. Blue Ridge Mountains, Virginia, 1925. Interior farmhouse, continuous. White curtains flow inward with the breeze over an iron bed where James Thornhill, 30s, lies dying. Esme Thornhill, 30s, wipes his forehead. She steels herself to keep from crying. On the bedside table, a glass of water, an oil lamp, a newspaper. Headline reads, "Committee formed to study, the rest is cut off." Exterior Skyland, day. George Pollock, 50s, plays a rousing tune on his bugle under an American flag. He wears an English riding habit. Rough around the edges, he looks like a frat boy who never made it to college. Behind him, a large sign reads, "Welcome to Skyland, the only dude ranch and resort in the East." Interior farmhouse, day. Esme keeps her vigil by James's bed. Her mother, Cora Fairfax, 60s, steps forward. Dressed in a department store suit, professionally coiffed, she looks like she belongs in a tea room, not in a mountain farmhouse.
Please, Esme, he needs a hospital.
Esme keeps her eyes on her husband.
It's too late, Mama. He wants to die here.
Cora retreats. Uncle Lebo, a lean mountain man of indeterminate age, enters.
See if you can talk some sense, Lebo.
Lebo takes Esme's hand. She squeezes it. Exterior Skyland, day. George finishes, struts across the lawn past rustic cabins nestled among the mountain ridge. His Pomeranian follows.
Come along, big daddles. Easy will be looking for you.
He smiles, tips his hat to well-dressed guests. He passes the dining hall patio that overlooks the valley. Several guests drink coffee, admire the view. Interior farmhouse, day. Esme nurses Aram, 1, at her breast. James sleeps nearby. Lebo sits in the corner, keeps a watchful eye. Interior Pollock's office, day. George slumps into his desk chair. His smile fades, his shoulders sag, his gut expands. The cheerful facade disappears. Knock. His assistant, P.J. O'Connor, enters, eases the door closed, approaches George.
Mr. Pollock, I need you to review these invoices.
George pastes on a smile.
Maisie sent you, didn't she?
Interior farmhouse kitchen, day. Cora wipes down the kitchen counter. She wears a homemade apron over her suit.
She can't run this farm all by herself.
Lebo leans against the counter.
She ain't by herself.
Interior Pollock's office, day.
Your wife's concerned about your recent expenditures, sir.
O'Connor clears his throat, reads.
Costumes for the Indian powwow, $50. Costumes for the Barnyard Festival, $100. Costumes for the Wedding of Watona pageant.
George waves his hand for O'Connor to stop.
I'll talk to her. Anything else?
Interior farmhouse, day. Virginia, Ginny Thornhill, 6, plays jacks on the floor of James's bedroom. A book lying open nearby catches her eye. She glances at Esme, who's napping. She looks around, sees no one, picks up the book, opens it. Interior Pollock's office, day.
I received 4 calls from the bank in Luray about your loan, sir. They were expecting a payment last month.
George rubs his forehead.
Silly child, you're too young to read that.
Interior farmhouse, day. Cora takes the book from Ginny. Ginny's lower lip trembles. Esme rouses.
Let her have it, Mama. She can read.
Not another penny, George.
Exterior Mass Newton Lodge, night. George and his wife Maisie, 40, stand on the balcony. Elegant, refined, she looks like a polished diamond next to George.
Maisie, please. I've moved out of the lodge like you asked.
I paid for it, remember?
Interior farmhouse, day. Country doctor packs his bag next to sleeping James. The doctor meets Yancey Nave, the local minister, coming in. The doctor shakes his head.
Not long now.
Interior George's office, day. George shuffles papers on his desk without enthusiasm. Something catches his attention. He picks up a newspaper, looking at the headline. Committee formed to study new national park. George scans the handwritten note clipped to the article. Why not Skyland? Harry. George smiles. Interior farmhouse, day, several weeks later. Dressed in black, Esme perches on the settee in her parlor. Lebo sits vigil beside a casket. Esme's father, Finn Fairfax, 60s, stands before Esme.
Come back to Richmond with us, Esme.
Esme shakes her head firmly.
James lived and died here. I'll do the same.
Interior conference room, Washington, D.C., day. Wearing a fringed buckskin outfit stolen from Teddy Roosevelt's closet, George gestures toward charts and drawings perched on easels. Super. U.S. Department of the Interior. Committee members, all white men in somber suits, sit around a large conference table, doodle on legal pads, or lean back in their chairs, half asleep. Governor Harry Byrd, 50s, genteel, confident, watches from the sidelines, arms crossed.
And the crowning feature, a skyline drive along the mountaintop with commanding views of the valleys on both sides. No other scenic drive in the world will surpass it.
The men stop doodling, squint at the map.
Gentlemen, imagine having all this, not 100 miles from the nation's capital.
The men nod appreciatively. Harry smiles, winks at George. George points at the map again.
As you can see, the park area is absolutely free of development. Nothing but primeval forests and magnificent vistas.
Arnold Cosby, Secretary of the Interior, peers over his beak-like nose. He wears a perpetual scowl.
Aren't there people living there?
Mr. Secretary, there are a few small mountain farms in the area. Nothing to speak of. Besides, if you could see these people, well, let me just say that moving them will be the best thing that ever happened to them.
The men whisper among themselves. Arnold looks up.
The committee will schedule a site visit.
Exterior mountains, day. Esme stands in front of James's grave. She holds Aram in her arms. Lebo stands next to her. Ginny holds a bouquet of black-eyed Susans.
Now, Mama?
Esme nods. Ginny places the flowers on the fresh mound. Exterior Skyland, day, several months later. George poses in the doorway of the lodge, shakes hands with Arnold. The rest of the committee lines up beside them. Above, a banner proclaims, Shenandoah National Park, our nation's newest park. A photographer snaps a picture of the group. Exterior mountains, 1925 to 1934. Montage. Two surveyors take measurements on a ridge. At her farm, Esme scatters feed to chickens. Aram, now 2, rides on her hip. In a large meadow, army tents squat in neat rows. Young men wear dark green uniforms, line up for chow. Sign at camp entrance. Camp NP1 Civilian Conservation Corps, building our next national park. Lebo shows Aram, now 6, how to push the plow. He's too little, but tries anyway. A massive truck gouges out a road from the steep mountainside. Ginny, now 10, walks along a dirt road with 2 girls swinging school books. CCC workers, young men with hard edges beyond their years, stack a stone wall along the partially built Skyline Drive. The men hand each other stones in a steady rhythm. Esme weeds her garden alongside Aram, now 8, Ginny, now 13, and Lebo. CCC workers plant saplings on the scarred hillside above Skyline Drive. Aram, now 10, milks a cow. Ginny sits on a stool next to a second cow, reads Pride and Prejudice. Her cow moves. End montage. Interior Esme's kitchen, night, 1934. Esme pumps a handle, water pours into the kitchen sink. She pulls a dish from the sink, hands it and a towel to F. Carter Ellsworth IV, 40s, handsome, well-dressed, as slick as his brill-creamed hair. He puts them down. She picks them up, wipes the dish.
Now makes perfect sense to get married. Move to Richmond. Ginny can go to Miss Jenny's and not have to board.
What about Aram?
It's time he stopped wandering around the woods and started wearing shoes.
Esme stiffens slightly. Carter does not notice.
It's not just Aram.
What then? You do want to marry me.
Yes, of course. It's just that
She surveys the kitchen.
it's my home.
Everyone has to leave, Esme. We'll make a new home.
Exterior mountains, day. Esme and Ginny stride along a dirt road. Esme carries a shopping basket. Ginny hugs a book. They reach a weather-beaten post office in a hamlet of 2 dirty streets. Faded metal signs on the porch hawk Barker's Mineral Tone Hogs and Granger's Rough Cut Pipe Tobacco. Exterior post office continuous. Lebo and Ham Shiflett, raw-boned, ugly as homemade sin, trusting, lean back on spindly chairs, relaxed. Esme's father-in-law, Clyde Thornhill, a bantam rooster in a Mr. Rogers sweater, paces.
I don't mind leaving as much as how they're going about it. Treating us all like inbred hillbillies.
Only some here is.
Clyde chuckles. Ham nods, doesn't get it.
They do it so they don't feel so bad about kicking us out.
Clyde spies Esme and Ginny.
Got your cabbages dug in for winter yet, Esme?
Esme nods.
Carter helping you much?
As much as he can, Clyde. General Assembly's starting soon.
Clyde leads over to Ham.
Bo's better at politicking than farming.
Clyde chuckles. Lebo frowns, pokes Clyde. Interior Post Office, continuous. Postmaster Ezra Brown, 70s, tie straight, collar starched, concentrates on a book he's reading. Esme and Ginny enter. He puts the book down, stands stiffly. Ginny picks the book up, looks at the title, The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. She opens it, starts reading.
They still jawing about park business out there?
Esme smiles.
Is it good, Mr. Brown?
Ezra looks at Ginny. She waves the book.
The book? Yeah, it's quite good. You take after your mama, don't you?
They laugh. Ezra turns serious.
Got something for you today, Mr. Winfield. Been coming in regular now. I'm sorry.
Ezra retrieves an envelope from a cubby behind him. Ezra and Esme's eyes meet, solemn. Like a ceremony, he hands her the letter. She takes it, knows what it is. She looks at the front, frowns. Just got real. She's stunned. Ginny watches her, concerned.
What's in it, Mama?
Ezra shakes his head at Ginny. Not now. Ginny peeks at the black letters slashed across the front. Notice of eviction and property valuation. Interior Esme's house, night. Esme, alone in the dark parlor, plays Chopin on an old upright piano. She stops playing. She looks up at the pictures on the piano, portraits of her high school graduation, her wedding day holding a bouquet of black-eyed Susans, her and the children without James. Her eyes fill with tears. She wipes them away, resumes playing. The sleepy Aram wanders in, climbs onto her lap.
Why are they making us leave, Mama?
Exterior mountains, day. Harry Bird wears a three-piece suit, fishes off the back porch of Brown House into the swift-moving stream. Behind him, a sign. Camp Rapidan, President Hoover's mountain retreat, donated to the National Park Service, 1932. Will Morgan, 60s, mounts the stairs. Dark hair, dressed in a dark suit. He's all business. He checks his watch.
Damn good fishing here. Can see why Hoover loved it.
His line jumps. Harry reels in a wriggling trout, raises it to show Will.
State needs this kind of revenue. Better to get it from tourists than taxpayers.
Ain't they the same people, Governor?
Harry grabs the fish with one hand, the hook with the other.
Tourists give up their money willingly.
Harry rips the hook out of the fish's mouth, drops the fish in his creel.
Taxpayers don't.
Will checks his pocket watch again.
You want to see me?
Harry spears a wriggling worm on the hook.
I'm getting pressure from Arnold Cosby to wrap this up. Feds want the deeds.
Feds won't take them until all the locals are gone.
Harry casts his line into the clear water. He can see the fish swimming.
What's the holdup?
There's more people here than we were led to believe.
Will, I appointed you to the commission because I thought you could handle the land purchases, including any displacements.
Some folks don't want to leave. I can't force them.
Of course you can. That's what condemnation means.
Will furrows his brow. Harry reels in another fish.
They're damn fools to want to stay.
Harry surveys the bucolic setting.
Godforsaken place to live.
Exterior Thornhill Pass, night. An old truck rumbles over crossroads on a mountain pass. It passes Clyde's SO, the Blue Ridge Luncheonette, and a large farmhouse surrounded by a picket fence.
I ain't willing to give up my home and business to help some crooked politicians get their hands on tourist pockets.
Interior Clyde and Addie's home, night. Sunday dinner at Esme's in-laws. Clyde and his wife Addie Thornhill, 60s. She's plump, matronly, a simple country woman. Aram, now 10, Ginny, now 15, and Esme sit with them at the table. Dinner waits, simple but ample. Chicken, ham, greens, biscuits.
Laws of mercy, Clyde. Just say the blessing.
Clyde bows his head. They follow suit.
Lord, lead us through these uncertain waters, filled with sharks wearing suits.
Aram snickers. Esme shushes him. Aram immediately sits up straight. Clyde gives Aram side-eye.
And let us be respectful to our elders. Help us to continue to do thy work on our land without interference from godless politicians. Amen.
Everyone tucks in, except Aram. He can't sit still.
Mama got her eviction notice, Grandpa.
Esme glares at Aram. Addie rolls her eyes. Clyde slams his fork down.
You have been done it, Blabbermouth.
Clyde storms over to the sideboard, grabs a small book, slaps it down in front of Aram.
You ever read the Constitution?
Aram shakes his head, wide-eyed.
No, sir.
He's 10 years old, Clyde.
Not at dinner.
Clyde ignores her, waves the book.
It says here, the government only has the right to force folks off their land if and only if the government can show necessity.
Clyde glares at them.
And a park ain't no necessity. In the second place,
Addie puts her hand on Clyde's arm, but he ignores her.
in the second place, the prices they's given ain't fair compensation. I wrote to the president telling him so.
Aram and Ginny roll their eyes. They've heard this before. Interior Addie's kitchen, later. Addie turns on the faucet, adds hot water to the sink full of dishes. Esme stands next to her, holds a dish towel.
Clyde'll end up in the jailhouse if he keeps this up.
Pray it don't come to that.
Addie hands Esme a plate to dry. Esme stares at it.
James always knew what to do.
You've been doing fine since my James passed.
That's because I have Ham and Clyde and Lebo.
Addie puts two and two together.
You're gonna marry Carter, ain't you?
Esme avoids Addie's gaze.
What for?
Children? I need to secure their future.
Honey, ain't nobody can't do that.
Exterior Esme's farm, day. Esme digs a trench in the garden. A pile of cabbages waits nearby.
I thought you'd done that already, darling.
Lebo stands at the gate.
Told Clyde that to get him off my back.
Lebo strokes his beard. Esme watches him, anxious to get back to work.
Did you come to help?
Don't be mad at me. Clyde said it, not me.
Esme softens.
What can I do for you, Uncle?
I need you to carry me to Charlottesville.
Aram and Earl show up out of nowhere.
I want to go. I need you to stay. For why? I need you to watch Nellie. It's her time any day now.
Aram's eyes light up.
What do I do if she... Fetch Ham Shiflet. He acts like a mooncalf, but he knows critters better than anybody.
Exterior Clyde's gas station, day. Esme drives Lebo and Ginny up to the lone gas pump. Clyde scurries out. He sees Esme, turns around.
Horace, customer.
Horace, a rough-looking man with a slight limp, hobbles out and primes the pump. He doesn't smile or greet them.
Where are y'all headed?
Charlottesville. Doc Nelson for Lebo.
Lebo grimaces.
And library for Ginny.
Ginny holds a pile of books on her lap.
How many library books you're gonna read, girl?
Ginny grins.
All of them?
Lebo chuckles.
You gonna take it, your evaluation?
Esme looks hopeful.
I have a choice?
You ain't got no choice.
Of course you got a choice.
Lebo and Clyde square off.
Never believed in being egging the government.
Clyde takes the bait.
Don't the Constitution give us that right?
We got whatever rights the government says we have, and they can take them away whenever they sees fit.
Clyde bangs his fist against the truck. Esme jumps, startled.
Now wait a cotton-picking minute. The Constitution guarantees our rights.
Lebo remains calm.
I ain't talking about no piece of paper. I'm talking about the real world.
The men glare at each other.
You old fool.
The two break out laughing. Ginny rolls her eyes. Esme laughs, and her smile fades quickly. She grinds the stick into first gear, putters away, truck popping and chugging. Interior truck, continuous. Esme descends the mountain, eyes focused on the winding road. They cross a stream next to an idle sawmill.
Mama, are you gonna take the money so we can move to Richmond? I want to go to Miss Jenny's like you did.
I don't know.
Lebo leans over to Ginny.
Keep your nose on straight before she calls you a Virginia.
Ginny gives Lebo a defiant look.
It's Aram, isn't it? 'Cause he don't want to leave? You always favor him.
That's enough, Virginia.
Lebo gives her the I told you so look. Exterior, Lebo's barn, day. Aram watches Nellie struggle to give birth. She moos softly, urgently. Earl paws at the ground frantically. Aram watches Earl, then runs off quick as double-geared lightning. Earl follows. Exterior Lebo's barn, later. Ham Shiflet reaches into Nellie's nether region with his bony arms up to his shoulders. He grunts. Nellie moos in distress.
Hush, Nellie, I got this.
He pulls the calf's back legs out. The rest of the calf follows easily, plops on the ground, covered in blood mixed with white goo. Aram and Ham grab handfuls of straw, rub the calf. Earl barks, wags his tail. The calf struggles to its feet, stumbles over to Nellie. Lebo slaps Ham on the back. Aram jumps up, sees him and Esme.
You just missed it. Ham did the whole thing. We saw. Ham's best in the county.
Ham laughs, embarrassed.
Just glad to help. Hey, Esme.
She's a fine one, that's for sure.
They admire the calf.
I'll buy her if you're leaving.
Aram's face darkens.
We ain't leaving.
Lebo puts a gentle hand on Aram's shoulder.
We all gotta leave, son.
Aram pushes away.
No!
Ham looks confused.
Government won't make us move if we don't want to.
Doesn't look that way, Ham.
Grandpa Clyde said the park's got a list of people who can stay. Ain't no list, son.
Aram's face darkens deeper. Ham looks bewildered. Exterior mountains, night. A large clearing in a fall meadow bristles with excitement. Above, a black curtain full of twinkling stars. A half-dozen copper kettles cradle in iron braces over wood fires. Apple butter spits, pops like golden lava. Couples stir the kettles with large wood paddles. A group of women ladle apple butter into jars. Lively music fills the air. Men play banjos, fiddles, guitars. They sway with the rhythm, laugh as they play. Young couples dance. Boys wear white shirts and dark slacks. Girls wear church dresses. Esme and Addie sit among a circle of women, peel apples. Aram stands in front of Esme, eyes pleading. Earl sits next to him with the same look.
Let's not talk about leaving tonight. Go on and have some fun.
Aram leaves, Earl at his heels.
Aram will be all right. How's my granddaughter?
Ginny's already picked out a traveling dress from the Sears catalog.
Addie chuckles.
Kiss and paddle.
Esme and Addie peer over at the kettles. A teenage boy and a teenage girl hold paddles, kiss. The crowd cheers.
Figured you'd want to leave.
Esme raises her eyebrows in surprise.
Why?
Your folks sent you to Richmond for your school, and they want you to have a better life. And with them gone and my James gone.
My life's here, Addie.
Addie tries a different tack.
Well, then Leeds Estate are to be safe. You're kind getting the grant from Lords Fairfax and all.
Esme scoffs.
The government doesn't seem to care about that.
Ham strolls by, grabs an apple from the bowl on Esme's lap.
I'm so hungry my belly thinks my throat's been cut.
The women laugh. He takes a bite.
Saw Ginny over there. She's Murrin age, don't she?
She needs to get an education first.
You ever was about that age, Marie?
Yes, but I already had graduated from Miss Jenny's.
And run straight back here to get married.
Everyone laughs. Esme blushes.
I ain't got no education. I do just fine.
Esme takes stock of Ham. Her face shows a mixture of love, concern.
You want to stay here, don't you, Ham?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know how I could live anywhere else.
What if one of those park men gave you a paper to sign? Would you know what it said?
I won't sign nothing if I don't know what it says.
But they'd have to read it to you. You wouldn't know if they were telling the truth, would you?
Ham scratches his head.
Why would they lie?
Exterior Ham's farmhouse, day. In the yard, Ginny and Esme cut up cabbages, throw them into a big tub. Ham beats the cabbage with a maul. Ginny screws up her nose.
I hate sauerkraut.
Keeps your belly full in winter.
Won't need to do this once we move. Life will be easier in the valley.
How are we supposed to grow food without airy land?
You don't. You buy it.
With what? Up here we grow everything we need except coffee and sugar.
Esme pours salt in the tub.
We got it better than most folks in the city these days.
Yeah, we got plenty of food, but no money.
What else you need?
Electric lights, for one thing. And indoor privies. Progress.
Ham considers this.
It's progress to make us want what we don't have.
Exterior valley, day. Arnold and Harry survey workers hanging siding on a small house in a row of identical tract houses. Each has a small yard, one sapling planted in the middle. Super, Ivy, Virginia, spring 1935.
How many are the feds building?
7 towns, Governor.
And the cost?
6,000 per
town?
per household.
Harry scoffs.
$6,000 for one house. These splendid people could live quite well without electricity and indoor privies.
Many of these splendid people don't have any place to go.
That's not the government's concern.
The president thinks it is.
Harry throws his cigar butt in the dirt, disgusted.
This program is a monument to waste and extravagance. The New Deal is going to ruin this country.
Exterior mountains, day. Women gather cans from under trees. They dump them in baskets in a common area. Esme and Addie work together.
I've been reading through the papers I got with my valuation.
You understand them?
Mostly. But I thought there'd be a hearing or something.
What for?
The price, mostly. I've been thinking about something Clyde said. The price doesn't seem fair. It's historical property. That should mean something.
That was a mercy. Ain't I been telling you that?
Should have listened. Since you know so much, how do I find what's a fair price?
You're the one with book learning.
Addie spies Ginny walk by carrying a book.
Ask Franklin Dean. With all them books in his house, he should know something about just about everything by now.
Exterior Mountains Day. Esme walks past a school, post office, general store on the main street, the only street. Sign on street, welcome to Bain. A young couple enters a luncheonette with a sign on the window. Full dinner, 75 cents. She crosses the street, stops in front of a large house surrounded by a wide yard, picket fence. A row of blooming azaleas line the sidewalk leading to the porch. She stands on the porch, hesitates. She reaches for the bell. Interior Franklin Dean house, continuous. Esme sits on the edge of a wing chair, sips tea from a china cup. 70-year-old Franklin Dean, shabby formal suit, bow tie, skimpy comb-over, smiles warmly. He's surrounded by lopsided piles of books and papers. Overhead, his faded diploma from Jefferson University hangs slightly askew.
How is Virginia enjoying the Cicero I lent her?
If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need, or so she says. Except she hates gardening.
Franklin chuckles.
We're not all as ignorant as the papers make us out to be, are we?
Esme smiles, relaxes in her seat. Franklin studies her. Straight-backed posture, gloves folded neatly on her lap, intelligent eyes.
I've always wondered why you live up here in the mountains.
Esme smiles.
I could ask you the same thing, Franklin.
Franklin chuckles again.
Touché. The mountains are calling, and I must go.
Esme nods. They sip. Franklin waits for her to proceed. Esme pulls a creased envelope from her purse.
I got my valuation.
Franklin nods his head sympathetically.
That's why I came, actually. How do I know if the price is fair?
Franklin scoffs.
It's not, I'm sure. Probably takes a lawyer to straighten it out.
Is there anything I can do?
Franklin puts his cup down. She hands him the envelope. He opens it, looks it over.
Let's see. You could start by comparing the price to the sales of similar properties in the valley.
How would I do that?
He puts the letter back in the envelope, hands it back.
County clerk's office in Luray can help you. Earlene's girl Ada works there.
Interior Page County Clerk's Office, Luray, day. Ida Breeden, 20s, official looking yet sweetly young, drops a massive book on the table in front of Esme. Bang.
Landegoshen. Heavy.
She hands Esme a slip of paper. Esme's white gloves lie neatly on the table.
Look at the last sale for this parcel, Miss Thornhill. It should be a similar price to your farm.
Thanks, Ida. How's your mama?
Ida looks out the window toward the mountain.
Mama said she's been living too long on the mountain to move. Says she hopes she's on Mr. Morgan's list of folks who can stay.
Esme nods.
I've heard about that list. Lebo says it doesn't exist.
Ida shrugs her shoulders.
We'll see.
Well, she walks off.
Mr. Renata, you stuck doing title searches again?
Esme looks up, sees Owen Renata, 25, a country boy in a city suit. She returns to her task.
Gotta pay the bills. I'll take anything that comes my way.
Esme checks the paper. She opens the book, flips to the right page. She runs her finger down the page, stops. She examines the paper again.
Can't be right.
Exterior town of Luray, day. Esme stands in front of a small brick office building, reads the sign. Shenandoah National Park, park office. Interior park office, continuous. Esme stops short when she sees the waiting room crammed with mountain folks, many holding valuation letters. They all wear their Sunday best and look worried. Esme approaches a desk in front of a closed door marked private. The harried receptionist glares at Esme. Esme tries to look more confident than she feels. She pulls off her gloves.
I'd like to see Mr. Morgan.
The receptionist scans the crowded room. Esme follows her eyes.
Have a seat. He'll see as many as he can before 5 o'clock.
The receptionist picks up her phone, dials a number. Esme looks at the clock, 3:30. She looks at the solemn crowd. She sits anyway. Interior Will's office, a day later. Esme sits across from Will Morgan. His dark hair shows streaks of gray.
I have nothing to do with land values. My job is simply to purchase the land on behalf of the state.
Esme swallows her fear.
It's not just the price, Mr. Morgan. My people have lived at Leeds Estate since the 1750s.
I'm sorry you're losing your land, Mrs. Thornhill. But this park has been in the works for 10 years. You're a little late to be questioning it now.
Esme reaches into her purse, retrieves a letter, offers it to Will.
We got this letter from the Department of Interior. It says only people living in the path of development will have to move.
He glances at it, doesn't take it. He pulls out his watch, looks at it.
Now that letter is 10 years old. Change in policy. I have nothing to do with policy, Mrs. Thornhill.
Will stands, glances at his watch.
Now, if you don't mind, there are other people waiting to see me.
She stands, tugs on her gloves. She looks him in the eye for the first time.
You have no idea how much this park will impact our lives, and I suspect you don't much care.
Will doesn't catch care for the last statement. Exterior Esme's farm night. Esme returns home, tired. Lebo sits on her front porch swing, sips peach brandy from a mason jar, listens to the night sounds.
How'd it go, darling?
Esme drops onto the swing like someone let the air out of her tires. He offers her the mason jar.
Peach brandy? Made a big batch this year.
She shakes her head no. Lebo shrugs, takes a swig.
Not surprised about Morgan. He were a tough man.
You know him?
Lebo takes another swig.
Yeah, a long time ago.
He says it's too late to fight the park.
Lebo strokes his beard.
He's right. You can't change what's coming, darling.
Esme considers this.
What if I hire a lawyer?
Lebo laughs.
Where are you getting money for a lawyer?
Esme eyes the jar. Lebo hands it to her. She takes a swig.
Follow your own lights, darling. Or else it anyway.
Interior Blue Ridge luncheonette. Esme sits at the counter. Addie wipes down the milkshake machine.
I found a lawyer. I meet with him.
Ham bursts in. He's all smiles.
Lots of mercy. You look happier than a dead pig in sunshine.
I don't have to move.
Why?
Park stops north of Mr. Ellsworth's orchard and my farm. His man told me.
Esme smiles warmly at her cousin.
That is good news.
Gotta go tell Cricket.
Ham leaves.
Don't tell Clyde. It'll give him ideas he don't need.
Exterior Esme's farm night. Carter and Esme sit on the front porch swing, hold hands. The sound of crickets fills the warm night air.
Now that you have your notice, we can set a date.
Esme stares into the distance.
I suppose.
Carter strokes Esme's face so she'll turn and he can kiss her. She doesn't respond.
Saw Ham Shiflett the other day.
Another cousin?
Esme looks at Carter sharply.
He's one of your tenants.
Squatter's more like it.
Esme's brow furrows.
He helps run Victoria's orchard. It doesn't cost you anything.
Carter shrugs, plays with a lock of Esme's hair.
He said the park stops north of his farm.
My farm. At my property line. That's right.
Carter slips his hand around Esme's neck, pulls her close. He looks deep into her eyes. She looks into his.
Promise me something?
Carter smiles. He's making progress.
Sure. What?
Promise me Ham won't lose the farm.
Interior office, day. Esme sits facing her lawyer, Coatsworth Gibson, 60s. He wears a seersucker suit, bow tie, and patronizing smile. He squints at a fishing hook and a vise on his desk. One eye folds around a jeweler's loop. Esme notices a half-eaten sandwich on a piece of wax paper.
Thanks for seeing me at lunch.
My pleasure. Your daddy and I had some good times at the university. I must say, I was surprised to hear you stayed at Leeds Estate after your parents moved to Richmond.
It was James's and my dream to have our own homestead.
Coates nods. He winds thread around the hook with a bobbin holder. He ties a fancy knot, clips the end. He chooses another color thread, attaches it to the bobbin holder.
I read about the park in the paper. It should do wonders for the local economy.
He winds the new thread around the hook.
Yes, I know. But can the government just take our property like that?
I'm afraid so. It's called eminent domain. I won't try to explain. Here, hand me that bit finisher.
He points to a strange-looking tool. She hands it to him.
How can they do that without telling us first?
He ties another fancy knot.
Scissors, please.
She hands them to him. He cuts the ends.
Do what? Yes, well, normally each landowner receives a notice in the mail, and then there's a hearing. But here, with so many properties...
Coates pulls the loop from his eye, picks up a newspaper.
It says here the Commonwealth is buying some 6,000 parcels. Well, that would normally mean 6,000 hearings.
Coates replaces the loop on his eye, chooses a small feather from a box on his desk, trims it, attaches it to the hook.
We never had a hearing. Nobody did.
Coates looks up.
Well, no, you didn't. The General Assembly passed what they called blanket condemnation.
Blanket.
Yes, well, since there are 6 counties involved, they held 1 hearing for each county. 6 hearings instead of 6,000.
Coates winds more thread around the fly.
But we were never told of any hearing.
You were given notice.
He looks up, exasperated.
This nymph has given me a devil of a time. I should have done a woolly bugger.
I beg your pardon?
The fly. No, notices were posted at the courthouse and published in the newspaper. You got notice.
Esme shakes her head.
All the same, nobody knew about any hearing. I seem to remember learning about proper notice and the opportunity to be heard in civics class at Miss Jenny's. Isn't that required by the Constitution?
Coates looks up, startled. The loop falls from his eye. He catches it in his palm. Esme locks eyes with him. He blinks first.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll ask one of our associates to look into it. It'll be a good experience for him.
Coates busies himself in the thread box, sorts the bobbins by color.
Thank you.
Coates smiles, thinks of something he wants to say.
Now, if you proceed with a lawsuit, you'll have to have a... Are you married now? Are you engaged to Carter elsewhere?
Does it matter?
It's best to have a man's name on court documents. Shows the court the case is serious.
Coates picks up a bright red feather, trims it neatly, winds thread around it and the hook.
Women can be serious.
I know, young lady, but courts expect to deal with men, not ladies. Court's too rough for women. Lord knows I wouldn't let my daughter become a lawyer.
Coates finishes the fly with a flourish, presents it to Esme.
What do you think?
Interior Blue Ridge luncheonette. Franklin and Esme meet in the closed diner. Addie cleans up.
We need to get organized. We'll call a meeting, maybe even get some financial support.
Addie looks out the window.
Ain't no pigs flying yet.
Esme smirks at Addie. Franklin has no time for jokes.
Can you spread the word?
Esme nods. Exterior mountains, day, montage. Esme walks the hollers, knocks on doors, talks to friends and neighbors. Some invite her in, others shake their heads no, close their doors. Undaunted, she keeps walking. Interior Pocosin Mission House, night. A few mountain folks wander into the large main room. Most of the chairs are empty. Franklin Dean sits at a table facing the chairs. Next to him, Owen Renata fiddles with his hat. He looks like an anxious teenager on his first date. Esme, Clyde, Addie, and Lebo settle into the front row. There's an empty seat next to Esme.
Why ain't you sitting up there with them?
Esme scowls.
Franklin says people listen better to a man.
Clyde and Lebo nod in agreement. Horace enters, sits in the back next to Jerry and Jimmy, 2 rough, dumb-looking brothers.
Isn't that Horace, your gas jockey?
Clyde nods. Addie leads over.
He's dumber than a coal bucket.
Tinderbox, too.
Hello, Mr. Kettle.
Lebo checks out the crowd.
Not much of a turnout.
Esme shoots him a dirty look.
Folks are spread out.
Don't get telephones neither. Esme walked the hollers herself.
Franklin stands.
I hereby call the first meeting of the Landowners Protective Association to order.
Franklin bangs a gavel on the table. Lebo chuckles. Franklin glares at him. The crowd quiets. Franklin picks up a paper, adjusts his glasses. He reads,
Not since the War of Northern Aggression have we loyal Virginians suffered such tyranny at the hands of our own government.
Clyde pops out of his chair like a jack-in-the-box.
Can the speech, Dean, get to the point.
Laughter. Franklin looks annoyed. He sighs.
I've hired a lawyer from Stanley to file a lawsuit to stop the park.
Esme and Addie look at each other, frown.
Best leave it be.
Mr. Renata, would you say a few words?
Owen stands up. He realizes he still holds his hat. He places it on the table, but it falls to the floor. A few people laugh. Clyde shakes his head.
He's just a boy.
Give him a chance.
Owen takes a deep breath.
The Fifth Amendment gives the government the power to reassert its authority over private property for the general public good through a process called condemnation. In English, boy!
Laughter. Ginny rushes in, sits next to Esme. Ginny notices Owen likes what she sees.
Who's that?
Esme motions her to shush.
I'm sorry, sir, of course. To put it simply, the government has the right to buy your property and turn it into a national park.
Is he a lawyer?
Esme ignores her. Horace heaves himself up.
That's unconstitutional. It's in the Constitution, sir.
Clyde scoffs.
Not the way they're doing it.
Simmer down, Clyde.
Ginny watches Owen.
He's cute.
stern look from Esme. Owen glances at Franklin. Panic rises. Franklin gives him the thumbs up. Owen notices Ginny. She's cute. He gets a second wind.
The government must demonstrate that the taking will promote the public good. How is stealing our property promoting the public good?
Jerry and Jimmy shout their agreement. Owen looks panicked again. Addie pokes Esme.
Help him. Say something.
Esme stands reluctantly.
Mr. Renata, what about the fact that so many people are losing their property?
A softball.
Yes, that makes this case unprecedented.
On what?
It means that this is a case of first impression.
Boy, talk English.
Let him talk, Clyde.
Owen takes a deep breath and chooses his words carefully.
Because there are so many people living here, it makes your case unique. Something the court's not heard before. They might listen.
Ginny is impressed.
But will we win, boy? Will folks be able to keep their property?
I'm afraid there are never any guarantees in court.
Clyde shakes his head in disgust.
Damn lawyers good for nothing except making fertilizer.
Clyde.
Interior Blue Ridge Luncheonette, day. Addie fills salt shakers.
So nobody knows you're behind the lawsuit?
Esme shakes her head.
It's for the best.
Does Carter know?
Esme shakes her head. Addie shakes her head. Oh boy. Exterior Esme's farm, evening. The sun has not yet set in the summer sky. Ginny milks the cow. Aram scatters feed to the chickens. Earl jumps, catches some feed, spits it out. Esme sits on the back stoop, shells peas.
Mama, if we move now, I can start at Miss Jenny's in September.
Miss Jenny's. That's all you're ever talking about. Always putting on your airs, fixing your hair just right, talking like you're cityfied.
At least I'm not rough as corn cob.
Stop, both of you.
But Mama...
Virginia?
Ginny sulks.
Addie.
They look up, surprised. Owen stands at the gate, holds a bouquet of black-eyed Susans. Earl runs up to him, sniffs. Owen scratches Earl behind the ears. Earl decides Owen's okay, returns to Aram's side.
Am I too early?
Esme looks at her children. Who's responsible? Ginny jumps up, smooths her hair and skirt.
Not at all. I wanted to show you around before dinner, anyway.
Aram scoffs.
Mama, I thought it would help Owen prepare his case if he got to know the mountains better.
Aram looks confused.
But you want to mow.
Esme catches on, suppresses a smile.
Good idea.
Exterior Esme's farm, continuous. Ginny and Owen stroll alongside a large fenced field with several cows. Aram, Earl at his heels, follows along like a pest.
And that's our best pasture.
On account of the cow hockey. You know, manure.
Aram,
Owen chuckles.
Quit rising above your raisin.
you take that back,
Or what? Just slap both my eyes into one?
Owen deftly comes between them.
I grew up on a farm in the valley. We raised cattle and hogs.
Aram calms down. Ginny flushes with embarrassment. A car rumbles past them like a steel mastodon, honks, spews gravel. Earl barks furiously. Owen gapes at the receding dust cloud.
Who's that?
That is F. Carter Ellsworth IV.
Mama's beau.
Aram spits on the ground.
I take it you don't like him much.
Aram shakes his head vigorously.
Thinks he's cock of the walk. His daddy built him a castle.
A castle?
A dad-burned castle. Has a moat and everything.
Owen laughs again.
He owns Victoria's orchard. He and Mama grew up together.
But he don't belong here. He's too
Aram casts his eye at Ginny.
cityfied.
Interior Esme's kitchen, continuous. Ginny, Aram, and Owen enter the kitchen. See Carter peck Esme on the cheek. Esme notices them, breaks the embrace.
Good. Just in time for dinner. Owen, this is Carter Ellsworth, an old friend of mine.
Carter twists his pinky ring.
Not that old, my dear.
Aram rolls his eyes.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
They shake hands. Carter smiles, grips tightly, jerks Owen towards him. Owen smiles grimly, does his best not to wince.
Don't be stealing my girl away.
Owen catches Carter's malicious wink. Interior dining room, continuous. Owen listens politely while Carter commands the floor. Carter twists his pinky ring as he talks. Ginny watches Owen watch Carter. Esme observes them both, smiles. Aram sneaks a piece of meat to Earl sitting under the table.
So I told the boy, I always called him boy. That other word is much too ugly for mixed company. I said, boy, if you want to become a professional shoe shine boy, you better learn how to spit properly.
Carter guffaws. No one else laughs. Carter doesn't notice.
Esme and I go way back, don't we?
Carter smiles at Esme. She gamely grins back. Aram and Ginny groan.
Esme was my sister Helen's roommate at Miss Jenny's in Richmond. Helen's previous roommate left in disgrace after an unchaperoned visit with a certain young man from Washington and Lee.
Carter nods his head towards Owen as if Owen understands what that means. Owen doesn't.
Some of those boys come from Yankee families, so it's to be expected.
Carter shoots a meaningful glance around the table, landing on Esme.
How could I not succumb to the charms of this mountain doe? I was smitten.
Esme laughs.
You hardly noticed me.
Oh, I noticed you all right.
Carter turns to Owen.
Before I could ask permission to court her, she scampered back to Jefferson County and got married. Now, why did she do that?
The mountains are calling and I must go.
Owen and Esme laugh.
I was devastated.
You married a debutante 3 months later.
It was on the rebound, I assure you. But to be fair to my late wife, I was smitten with her also.
You seem to get smitten easily.
Exterior mountains, continuous. Owen and Ginny stand on top of Stony Mountain, enjoy the view. Owen points to a small group of lights in the valley.
That's Stanley.
Ginny nods. Owen looks around.
My papa used to bring me up here to hunt when I was a kid.
Ginny studies Owen, her turn to be smitten. He is oblivious.
I hate what's happening here.
Me too.
Really? I got the impression you want to leave.
Well, I love it here, but I do want to get an education, like you did.
Law school.
Ginny laughs.
Girls don't go to law school.
Exterior farm, continuous. Ginny walks Owen to his car, a rusted jalopy.
Landagoshin, is this your car? Does it run?
Owen laughs.
Gets me here and there.
You ought to get a job in Richmond at one of those big law firms. You could get a decent car then.
I like it here.
Ginny smiles. Owen has no idea what he just said. Exterior farm, later. Ginny watches Owen's car rumble off. Esme and Carter approach.
I'm off.
Carter pecks Esme on the cheek. Ginny scowls behind his back. Esme notices, gives her a stern look. Exterior farm, a few minutes later. Esme and Ginny watch Carter's car speed away.
Help me with the chickens.
They walk over to the chicken coop and shoo the chickens into the henhouse. A red one tries to get away. Ginny sweeps her arms.
Ginger Rogers. Go on.
Ginger scurries up the plank.
I know you don't cotton to Carter.
Another chicken tries to make a break.
And there goes Myrna Loy.
Ginny chases Myrna in. Esme laughs.
Every time.
They leave the coop, stroll toward the back porch.
Mama, I don't trust him.
Esme puts her arm around her daughter.
We can count on him. He's like Owen, one of us.
Interior Will Morgan's office, day. Arnold studies a large map of the proposed park on the wall. He scowls, pushes his glasses up his hook nose. He points a bony finger at the map.
What's this?
Will glances at the spot.
Jarman Gap, Mr. Secretary, the park's south entrance.
Arnold scowls at Will, then back to the map, then back to Will. He pokes at the map.
Skyline Drive doesn't connect with the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Will points at the map.
That's Victoria's Orchard between Jarman Gap and the Parkway. Land's too expensive to buy.
Arnold focuses his beady eyes on Will.
The president specifically requested that Skyline Drive end at the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Arnold gives Will an arched look. Will gets his meaning. Exterior Victoria's Orchard, day. Will and Carter stand behind Carter's Gothic stone castle, gaze at the mountain. Will holds an open map.
It is a beautiful view.
Carter smiles. He gestures toward the mountain.
If you could move the drive off the ridge, you see, from my views, it wouldn't take much ink to change the location of the road.
Will points to a small farmhouse on the map. This is Ham's farm.
It would have to go through that farm.
Carter shrugs, nods.
That won't be a problem.
Will folds the map, shakes hands with Carter.
I'll see what I can do.
Interior castle, night, a few weeks later. Carter reviews a map spread out on his desk, heading on map. Second revised. He draws his finger down the new line for Skyline Drive as it skirts the top of the mountain away from the castle. Skyline Drive bisects Ham's farm. Carter chuckles.
Ink is cheap.
Exterior mountain farm, day. A group of men herd hogs up a road toward a farm. Annual hog killing in the fall, a community affair. Super, fall 1935. At the farm, two women hang a pole between two trees. Underneath, a small fire takes hold. The men hold rifles, lead the hogs into a barn. A woman places rocks on the fire, calls out,
Make sure it's a clean kill.
bang! The two men return with the dead hog tied to a pole, dip it in the scalding water. They lift it out, drop it on the ground. The women drop to the ground, scrape the hide with large knives. Owen and Ginny stroll through the organized mayhem.
When you said you wanted me to get to know the mountains better, I didn't know you had this in mind.
You never been to a hog butcher?
Not as a spectator.
Ginny laughs. She looks at Owen with adoration. As usual, he's unaware of her feelings. Exterior hog butchering continuous. Esme and Addie stuff sausage meat into casings at a long table with other women doing the same.
You been to see Cricket?
No, I need to.
Thomas still doing poorly?
Esme nods.
Any word on the baby? When's he coming back?
Esme shakes her head. Carter saunters up to the table. Addie notices him first. She eyes his expensive suit.
There's a few more hogs need killing, Carter.
I'm afraid I'm not dressed for the occasion. I'm here to visit with my constituents.
Addie makes a face to another woman, who laughs. Esme pokes Addie with her elbow, gets up from the table. A few minutes later, Esme walks with Carter. Carter twists his pinky ring.
I understand Franklin Dean has hired a lawyer.
Esme looks guilty. Carter doesn't notice.
Owen Renata. You met him at dinner a while back.
Why was he there?
Ginny's sweet on him.
He's a tad old. Anyway, I thought we were on the same page.
Esme stops.
The same what?
It's a new expression. You know I voted for the park.
What are you saying?
I can't risk my career by being associated with someone who's fighting the park.
Are you saying I have to choose between you and Leeds Estate?
There's no choice. You're losing Leeds Estate. Be realistic, Esme.
Later, Esme walks by herself. She observes two small girls lug a heavy sack to a kettle on fire. A woman takes the sack from the girls, opens it, pours cornmeal into the kettle. She stirs the thick mixture. The woman notices Esme.
I love pawn house, don't you, Esme?
Esme nods. Addie walks up, links her arm with Esme's. Esme leans her head on Addie's shoulder.
If I lose Carter, what happens then?
Addie pats her shoulder.
You go on like before, like you're always done. Carter or no Carter.
Esme looks at her, grateful, yet still uncertain.
Go check on your cousin, Cricket. Nothing like tending to others to make you forget your own troubles. Take that young lawyer with you. Might come in handy.
Exterior Freeman Hollow. Day. Esme, Ginny, and Owen walk through the hollow. Ginny carries a large basket. No one is about until they reach a small cabin surrounded by a beehive of activity. One man feeds a pig, another man milks a small cow. Several women dig trenches for cabbages. Another woman washes clothes in a tub. Interior Freeman cabin continuous. Inside the dark cabin, Ginny places the basket on a small table. Owen removes his hat, looks for a place to put it. Finds none. He holds it. Thomas Freeman, 40s, pale, sweaty, sleeps on a thin pallet on the floor. Cricket Freeman, 30s, looks 50. Wipes Thomas's forehead with a rag. Two small children play jacks on the dirt floor. Cricket stands when she sees Esme and Owen. Her faded dress hangs loose, swallows her slight frame.
Is he better?
Cricket shakes her head slightly. She notices Owen.
Who's this?
Owen Renata. He's a lawyer, hired to fight the park.
Owen smiles, offers his hand. Cricket takes it warily.
Could he help me get my baby back?
What's that?
Jasper from the valley visited Cricket with a social worker a while back. They took her baby.
Who's Jasper?
Outsider.
Owen raises his eyebrows.
Don't worry, you ain't no Jasper around here.
They said he were poorly. They promised to fetch him back when he was better.
Cricket cries softly. The children try to comfort her. Thomas stirs in his bed, does not wake. Owen takes her hand in his. Ginny watches, impressed.
I'm sorry this happened to you, Mrs. Freeman. Did you sign any papers when they took the baby?
Thomas.
Baby Thomas.
They signed a letter. They said they needed to take him to the hospital. I didn't understand what it said. They explained it.
Cricket starts to cry again. Owen and Esme exchange looks.
When was this?
Last winter.
He should be better by now.
Exterior mountains day, later. Owen, Ginny, and Esme walk home. A somber group.
Why are things so bad in Freeman Holler? I mean, compared to other places.
Farming was never good up there. Too rocky.
And you have to pipe the sunlight in.
Owen smiles.
Why stay?
It's their home. They got kin here.
Owen nods. He gets it.
They don't like outsiders getting next to their business.
Esme nods.
You see what happens when they do? Outsiders are well-meaning, I suppose, but misguided.
It ain't just that. Pollock's the main reason they're so poor. A lot of them got jobs at Skyland and gave up farming.
Interior Skyland night. George smiles at a room full of guests in the dance hall, all dressed in elaborate costumes. George is a Renaissance prince tonight. Tights, slippers, feathered cap. A large African-American orchestra, young men in stiff white suits, plays for the crowd. Interior kitchen, continuous. Locals cook, wash dishes in the busy, noisy kitchen. Cooks shout orders. Stacks of dirty dishes wait on a sideboard. Steam billows from the sink. Waiters carry trays, rush in and out. Interior dance hall, continuous. George watches, delighted, as dancing couples swirl past him, including a dowager wearing silver shoes.
Having a good time, Mrs. Vanderhoosen?
She waves at George. Exterior dance hall, continuous. Outside the windows, mountain folk observe the dance with solemn interest. An elderly guest in a white dinner jacket saunters by. One of the mountain men hands him a mason jar filled with amber liquid. The guest smiles, hands the man a few coins. Back to scene.
When the Depression hit, Pollock laid most of them off.
Now they have nothing.
Don't they own their farms?
Another of Pollock's tricks.
The Freemans never recorded their deeds. Pollock claimed to own the land, so he went to court and got a judgment.
Didn't the Freemans fight it?
They weren't notified.
Never even knew about it.
And the baby?
Nobody knows what happened.
Or they won't tell us.
Who took him?
Fred Zabel's wife. They live in Luray. He runs the Chamber of Commerce.
Interior office, Luray, day. Sign on office door. Ferdinand Zabel, director, Luray Chamber of Commerce. Owen sits in the waiting room, toys with his hat. Interior Zabel's office, later. Plaques and certificates cover the walls. Fred Zabel, expensive haircut, manicured nails, leans forward over his desk. Owen perches on the edge of his chair, clutches his hat.
My wife takes a great interest in the plight of the poor in these mountains. The Freeman baby was one of her successes.
What happened?
Fred leans back.
He was almost 2 years old, but only weighed about 12 pounds. Father was sick, as I recall. Mother had too many children to take care of properly.
And where's the baby now?
A couple in Staunton adopted him.
Owen pauses, chooses his words carefully.
And the Freemans consented to the adoption?
Fred's turn to hesitate.
They signed the appropriate papers, yes.
Interior Esme's house, day. Esme, Ginny, and Owen sit in the parlor. Esme looks down, trying not to cry. Ginny holds her hand.
Should I tell Cricket?
Esme shakes her hand.
No.
Esme wipes her eyes, gathers herself.
Ginny, would you make me some tea?
Sure, Mama.
Ginny leaves.
How's the lawsuit?
Owen relaxes, back on safe ground.
We lost in circuit court, but we expected that.
What happens now?
The Virginia Supreme Court will hold oral arguments. It'll be some time before they hear the case.
Esme nods. She's still upset about Cricket's baby. Owen sees her pain.
Mrs. Thornhill, I believe we have a strong case. I'm optimistic the court will recognize the illegality of what's been going on here.
Esme smiles, encouraged. Interior Will's office, day. A mountain man storms out of Will's office, passes George coming in. Will's hair is now salt and pepper. Super. Spring 1936.
What was that all about?
Another local who doesn't want to leave.
You're doing these folks a favor.
How do you convince them?
George glances at the newspapers on Will's desk. He gets an idea.
You don't have to.
Interior George's office, day. Eunice Montgomery, 20s, sits straight on her chair. Her porcine feet dangle, don't quite reach the floor. She's puffed up with apple dumplings and self-importance. George looks over her resume.
I see you have a master's degree in education from Jefferson University. Are you willing to teach in a rural area?
Yes, sir.
Sits up proudly, smug.
Yes, sir. I'm fascinated by these native dwellers.
And you intend to perform social work as well as teach, I take it?
She nods emphatically.
I received a grant from Dr. Allen at the University of Illinois to gather data for his new book.
Gather data?
Assess the local conditions in the mountains. He's studying the lack of social development in isolated areas, like here.
George smiles. This is too good to be true.
Well, I think you're ideal for the position we have in mind.
Where is it?
Freeman Hollow.
Exterior, Freeman Hollow, day. Eunice marches along the road, clutches a clipboard and pen, eyes her surroundings with suspicion. Spring blooms all around her, but she takes no notice. Cricket greets her.
You lost, man?
Certainly not. I always know exactly where I am.
Eunice looks around. She's lost.
I was led to believe there was a schoolhouse here.
Cricket points to a dilapidated building with a sagging porch.
Schoolhouse ain't open now. County won't pay. It's only open when the state pays.
Mr. Pollock has hired me to rectify the situation.
Cricket looks at her blankly.
I'm here to teach your imbecile offspring.
Cricket doesn't understand the words, but she knows it's not a compliment. She gives Eunice the skank eye. Eunice struts to the schoolhouse, passes Esme. She looks down her nose at Esme. Esme raises her eyebrows. Esme hands Cricket a basket of mushrooms. Cricket smiles, delighted.
Merkles. Don't mind if I don't.
Esme glances back at Eunice.
Who was that?
Jasper. Pollock Center.
Cricket gestures toward a box on the ground, stuffed with jumbled shoes.
Got another box of cast-offs from Skyland.
Esme reaches down, picks up Mrs. Vanderheusen's silver shoe.
Where are you supposed to wear these? A barn raising?
Cricket laughs.
This ain't charity, it's house cleaning.
Cricket examines the silver shoe.
Ginny might like them.
Doubt it, but I'll take them home.
Save the box.
Interior restaurant night. Carter and Esme finish eating at an elegant restaurant. Esme wears plain brown pumps. A waiter approaches the table, holds a silver coffee pot.
More coffee, Mr. Ellsworth?
Carter barely acknowledges the waiter. He peers at Esme. She stares into space. He waves at the waiter.
Just a check.
The waiter leaves.
So, are we settled?
Esme pulls herself back into the conversation.
Settled?
Carter laughs.
Really, Esme, you shouldn't toy with me like this. I've made my feelings plain.
Do you know anything about a social worker teaching in Freeman Hollow?
No, but that's good. Those children need all the help they can get.
I'm not sure they need that kind of help.
Interior Freeman Hollow School, day. Eunice stands at the front of the schoolroom. It's sparse but clean. A piano leans against one wall. A half-dozen children of various ages, including Aram, sit at the desks, swing their legs. She notices their bare feet. They study her. She studies them.
Let's see if any of you tobacco-chewing heathens know anything. Can anyone recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Children look at each other, terrified. No one moves. Eunice smiles in satisfaction. A boy Aram's age pokes Aram.
You go.
Aram stands up wearily. The other children giggle.
Quiet down, children.
Immediate silence. Aram looks around. Eunice and the children stare at him.
Well,
Aram puts his hand over his heart and turns toward the flag in the corner. He hesitates at first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of...
Eunice grins, just as she thought. Aram looks at the flag, gains confidence.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation...
Eunice narrows her eyes.
That will be enough. You may sit down.
Exterior Freeman Hollow, day. Eunice traipses to Cricket's house, carries her clipboard. Cricket washes clothes in a tub. Two of Cricket's school-aged children play nearby. They see Eunice scurry inside.
Mrs. Freeman, if you are going to send your children to school, you must see that they're properly bathed and clothed, including shoes.
They only got one pair. Roads tear 'em up. We save 'em for church in winter.
You need to add school to that list.
Eunice turns on her heel and marches away. Cricket shakes her head.
Jasper.
Eunice sees Esme and Owen walk toward her. Her plump cheeks make way for a grin.
Mr. Renata, do you remember me? Eunice Montgomery. We went to Jefferson University together.
Owen has no idea who she is. He shakes her hand anyway to be polite.
What brings you to this land that time forgot?
I'm sorry?
Look around! Cut off from civilization, backward, neglected by the state.
Miss Montgomery, I don't think you have it quite right. These people are not.
Please, Mr. Renata. I know what's best for these primitives.
Owen shakes his head, too polite to argue. Esme squares off with Eunice, who seems to wither slightly.
These people don't need help from you.
Of course they do. They insist on hiding from reality.
If you represent reality, Miss Montgomery, I can hardly blame them.
Interior Eunice's house, night. Eunice writes a letter at her desk.
Dear Dr. Allen, as you requested, I have studied the residents of Freeman Hollow, which I believe is representative of the region.
Exterior Freeman Hollow, day. The houses are small, surrounded by vegetable gardens and chicken coops. Smoke rises from the chimneys.
These are communities of penniless squalor.
Interior house, day. 3 children wash their faces and hands in a galvanized tub near the wood stove. Their mother pours hot water into the tub, grabs soap from a windowsill lined with glass bottles of toiletries, scrubs a boy's back.
The children are ragged, begrimed, and vermin-infested.
The children sit at the table, eat porridge. One child takes a piece of bacon from a plate.
They are practically starving, yet they possess some mysterious capacity that enables them to escape starvation, much like bears and woodchucks.
2 young boys play with toy ray guns while girls play house with porcelain dolls.
The poor children have no toys to play with.
A man reads the newspaper under an oil lamp. On the wall, a current calendar. On the table, a wind-up Victrola.
Steeped in ignorance, they are a modern Robinson Crusoe, almost completely cut off from modern society.
Interior Eunice's house, continuous. Eunice looks over what she wrote. She smiles, satisfied. She resumes writing.
Relocating them is the only humane choice for these pathetic creatures. It's a matter of moral necessity.
Interior Will's office, day. Super. Summer 1936. Will reads Mountain Folk while George looks on, pleased with himself.
I think she's done quite well.
A bit overblown. This could stir things up.
Nonsense. You should see the reporters flock into Freeman Hollow.
What if they visit other areas?
Well, they're not interested in anything else. FDR sent an official photographer down here, didn't he? What's his name?
Arthur Rothstein.
That's right. Young Jewish fella. His pictures of Freeman Hollow have folks crying in their cornflakes. And here.
George pulls a newspaper article out of his pocket and gives it to Will.
Editorial from the Washington Times.
Will takes the paper.
Hidden in the dark interior of the Blue Ridge dwell communities of backward, illiterate people living in medieval squalor.
Will stops reading.
That's ridiculous.
George grabs the paper.
It's what we need. The ragged children, until recently, had never seen the flag or heard of the Lord's Prayer.
George stops.
This is great. The public believes the park will bring civilization to these people. That's all that matters.
That and getting rid of the lawsuit.
Exterior Franklin Dean House, day. Owen knocks on Franklin's door. Esme stands beside him, holding several file folders. No answer. They peek through the front window. They see Franklin's usual chair, the one surrounded by piles of books and papers. He's not there. They make their way to the back door. Owen knocks. No answer. They look in the kitchen window. Franklin sits at the table, eyes closed, hands neatly folded, a cup and saucer in front of him. He looks like he's praying.
Mr. Dean, it's Stowe and Renata.
Franklin, we're here to go over the oral argument.
Franklin doesn't move. Esme and Owen look at each other, concerned. Exterior Mountain Cemetery, day. Esme, Clyde, Ginny, Aram, Lebo, and Owen stand in the snow at the side of Franklin's grave. Listen to Yancey.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Esme stares at Franklin's grave, lost and alone. Owen walks up to her.
We'll figure something out, Mrs. Thornhill, I promise.
Esme shakes her head. It's over. Later, Ginny and Owen walk away from the graveyard. Both are solemn, silent. Ginny takes Owen's hand. Owen stops short.
Ginny,
What? I'm 17. Mama married at 16.
I'm 27. I'm too old for you.
Ginny is stunned.
You ain't been sweethearting me?
No, I didn't mean to.
Ginny is mortified.
Oh. Oh.
She walks a few steps.
Ginny,
Ginny recovers her composure.
It don't matter. I'm getting schooling before I even think about boys. 27 or otherwise.
Ginny walks away embarrassed. Owen has no idea what just happened.
Why can't you do it on your own?
Interior Blue Ridge Luncheonette, day. Esme sits at the counter, distraught.
I can't.
It ain't illegal?
No. The truth is, I'm out of money. I had a small nest egg from my parents, but it's gone. Franklin took over paying.
Is that all?
Esme nods. Addie frowns, eyes Esme.
I can't put my name on the pleadings.
Addie nods.
Carter don't know, do we?
Esme shakes her head.
Time to fish or cut bait. You either fight for your land or you marry Carter. You can't have both. If Ginny finds out...
Esme considers her choices. Exterior Lebo's house, day. Lebo stands on the roof, hammers shingles.
Mr. Fairfax.
Lebo stumbles, rights himself.
You trying to kill me, son?
Owen stands at the bottom of the ladder.
Sorry, I'm looking for Mrs. Thornhill. Aram said she was here.
Lebo climbs down. Esme walks from around the corner carrying a basket of shingles.
Mrs. Thornhill, I'm sorry, the partners won't let me take the case pro bono.
Pro what?
Esme sets the basket down.
For free.
Folks here don't want charity.
Not charity. Pro bono means for the good.
For the good.
Lebo strokes his beard.
Let me show you something, son.
Lebo walks inside, returns holding a package wrapped in crinkled brown paper. He opens it carefully, gently removes an American flag with 13 stars. It's faded, frayed, burned in places.
This has been in the Fairfax family since the war.
The American Revolution? That war?
Lebo nods.
That's how long we've been living here. We ain't ever asked for nothing from the government except to be left alone.
Esme stares at the flag.
We can't give up. I'll find some money. I have some property outside the park I can sell.
Owen makes his choice.
I can't let you do that. I'll do it.
Won't you lose your job?
I can get another one.
In the middle of the Depression?
You can't sacrifice your job for us.
Owen looks at the flag.
You've sacrificed enough.
Exterior Virginia's Supreme Courthouse, day. The imposing building takes up the entire block. A bronze plaque next to the wide doors says, Virginia's Supreme Court, 1111 East 9th Street. A line of people, mostly mountain residents, waits to get in. Interior courtroom, continuous. 6 pruned-up white men in black robes sit behind a large, curved desk of highly polished wood. Mountain residents pack the large, ornate courtroom. Esme, Clyde, Addie, and Lebo sit together behind Owen's counsel table. Harry, Arnold, and Will sit on the other side of the courtroom, behind their lawyer, Frank Keene. Harry leans back in his chair, relaxed. Arnold wears his usual scowl. Clyde twists his handkerchief into a tight spiral. He looks around, searches for someone.
Where's Carter?
General Assembly's in session.
Clyde and Addie exchange looks. Owen, in a dark suit, addresses the court.
The purpose of a national park is to preserve unspoiled areas of natural beauty. Such is not the case here.
The spectators nod.
These mountains have been worked for 2 centuries. Farming, mining, timbering. There are schools, churches, stores.
Owen motions to the residents in the courtroom.
The park will destroy an entire way of life for these people.
More nods from the spectators. Still no reaction from the bench. Owen shuffles through his notes nervously. A few pages drift to the floor. He finds what he's looking for.
Last, the blanket condemnation statute failed to notify people properly, and therefore they were denied due process.
The justices lean forward in their seats. Owen realizes he's hit a nerve. Harry and Kane exchange glances.
Condemnation requires that every affected citizen be given notice and the opportunity to be heard.
The judges nod slightly.
The blanket condemnation statute only required that notices be printed in newspapers and posted at county courthouses. Notices were not sent to the individual landowners.
Owen points to the spectators.
Many of these people don't have access to newspapers, and they rarely have cause to visit a courthouse.
Owen takes a deep breath.
Even if they had a newspaper or went to the courthouse, they could not be expected to understand the legal mumbo-jumbo in the notice, or even that it applied to them.
Several spectators laugh. The Chief Justice scowls in their direction and the courtroom goes silent. Owen picks up a paper from counsel table. He takes another deep breath.
This is to notify and warn all whom it may concern, and all of said persons, and the heirs or devasees, and the personal representatives of such said persons are dead, and all of the persons constituting membership in said classes of persons, and each and every one of them.
Owen breaks off. Laughter.
We get the idea.
Heck, I'm a lawyer, I don't even understand half of it.
More laughter. The Chief Justice is not amused.
Move it along, Mr. Renata.
Owen nods, properly chastised. But he's on a roll. He strides closer to the bench. He gestures toward the mountain residents dressed in their Sunday best, haircut and slicked back.
These people's mountain's roots extend back before the American Revolution.
The justices take notice.
They are hard-working, self-sufficient, and fiercely independent. They represent fundamental American values of perseverance, self-reliance, and determination. Values that built this country.
Harry scoffs.
Having been denied proper notice and the opportunity to be heard, the statute is null and void.
Clyde and Esme perk up at this statement.
There are many possible locations for a new national park, but only one home for these people.
Esme and the others clap enthusiastically until a bailiff steps forward.
Order in the court.
Exterior, focus in mission, day. Celebration, tables set out in the meadow, laden with food. A band of mountain folk play a rousing bluegrass tune. Folks dance, laugh. Kids chase each other around. Esme, Clyde, and Addie crowd around Owen. Clyde pumps Owen's hand.
Great day in the morning. You're up and done it. I didn't think you had it in you.
Well, that's a mercy, Clyde. Give the boy some credit.
Thank you, sir.
I think we have a good chance.
God willing, and the creeks don't rise.
Owen looks over at Ginny. She sees him, looks away.
What do we do now?
We wait. Could be months.
We can wait.
Lebo strokes his beard.
Don't be counting chickens just yet. Birds a sneaking wolf.
Horse feathers. The truth will stand when the world's on fire.
Clyde grabs Addie, starts dancing. They smile, laugh, relaxed and happy. Lebo shakes his head. Esme observes the party, cautious. Interior, General Assembly, day. Harry and Frank Keene march down the hall.
Where'd those damn hillbillies get money for a decent lawyer? What's his name? Renata?
They're not all poor, obviously.
A woman in a suit walks up to Harry, hands him a pile of papers. He signs the top one, shoves it back at the woman, who walks away.
Make a call. Remind those boys who put them on the bench.
Interior courtroom day. A full courtroom waits. The justices shuffle in, avoid eye contact with the spectators, sit. The Chief Justice casts a swift glance at Harry. He picks up a sheaf of papers, reads.
Our Constitution provides private property may be taken for public uses with just compensation.
He pauses and looks over his glasses at Owen.
A national park is a public use. There is no question about that in our jurisprudence.
Esme lowers her head. She knows what's coming.
The notice required by the statute recites all the information necessary to attract the attention of the landowners and inform them of the nature of the proceedings.
Clyde shakes his head vehemently. Addie places her hand on his arm.
In the accomplishment of this park, hardship is inevitable. Homes will be lost, dear beyond monetary compensation.
Low rumble among the spectators.
While this is regretted, it cannot be avoided. Case dismissed.
Court erupts with anger. Interior Blue Ridge luncheonette day. Clyde, Lebo, and Esme sit at the counter. Addie makes coffee.
Y'all done now?
No, I ain't done, not by a long shot.
Clyde, be reasonable. There's nothing else we can do.
They'll have to drag me out of here.
Clyde storms out. Addie pours Esme coffee. Esme doesn't touch it.
Well, that makes my choice for me.
Lebo and Addie exchange looks.
Carter's a lucky man.
More than he deserves.
Esme studies her coffee.
Look at me, honey.
Esme looks up.
You don't have to.
Esme takes Addie's hand, squeezes it.
Yes, I do.
Exterior post office day. Ezra pastes a notice on the outside wall. Insert. Notice. All local residents must vacate park property by no later than January 1, 1938. Public meeting to be held to discuss same. Pocosin Mission House, November 1, 1937. 7 p.m. Interior Killa Havlin, night. Will relaxes on a leather sofa in his wood-paneled study. His wife, Madge Morgan, walks in, hands him a cup of coffee. Sits next to him, cozy and relaxed. He smiles at her, takes a sip, puts it down on the table. He picks up a framed black and white photograph of a young boy, about 15. The boy stands in front of a waterfall between a younger Will and a younger Lebo. Will and the boy each hold a large fish. Will puts the picture down.
Every day, I'm threatened by some irate landowner who doesn't want to move. I'm surprised no one's pulled a gun on me.
God forbid.
Will stands, paces.
None of the politicians want to do the dirty work. Feds say it's up to the state to move the local. State says it's up to the feds. And somehow, it all falls on me.
Come sit.
Now I've got to meet with these people and convince them to move quietly.
Will returns to the sofa, sits, looks at the picture.
South River Falls. Beautiful place.
You'll be preserving it. It's almost over. Things should calm down soon.
Interior Pocosin Mission, night. The room is packed and noisy. Esme, Clyde, Addie, and Lebo sit in the first row. Esme turns, surveys the crowd. In the back, the Fletcher boys lean forward in their chairs, fists clenched for a fight. Horace sits back, arms folded. Aram, now 13 and muscular, sits next to Horace. Esme eyes the group, frowns. Minister Yancey Nave slips in next to Esme. He removes an envelope from his pocket, shows it to her. Same as the one Esme received.
Seems there's no room for God in the park either.
Esme nods slightly, places her hand on his arm. She understands too well. Will stands at the podium. He raises his arms in a futile attempt to calm the crowd.
We can't fish or hunt on our land.
It's not your land anymore. It's federal property.
Clyde jumps up.
It's federally occupied territory.
Shouts of agreement. Esme and Addie exchange anxious looks.
Have some mercy.
Addie tries to pull Clyde back into his seat, but he brushes her off. Esme's eyes dart around the room. She observes the growing anger among her family, her neighbors, her community.
You let Newt Sisk move into the Kendall place, but you wouldn't let me move into Bailey's house?
There have been changes in policy.
The crowd erupts with more shouting. Ham stands up, tentative. Will points to him.
You have a question?
Where are we supposed to live?
The government is building new houses in the valley.
Jimmy jumps up.
Them tiny boxes look like they'd blow over in the first windstorm.
Ham looks crestfallen.
They ain't got room for crops or pigs.
Jerry leaps up, waves his shotgun for effect.
How are we supposed to pay for them?
Low-interest loans will be
The
available.
crowd scoffs.
We don't want to be beholden to nobody.
More shouts of agreement.
Keep Aaron away from those Fletcher boys. They got long fingers.
Not to mention their daddy killed a man.
Yeah, that too.
Esme's eyes widen with fear. She observes Aram get caught up in the mounting rage. She waves at him to come sit with her. He either doesn't see her or ignores her.
We ain't again using force if we have to.
Aram, the Fletcher boys, and others shout in agreement. Esme shakes her head in disbelief. This can't be happening. Esme looks over at Owen. He clutches his hat, looks terrified. Shouting continues. Will loses control of the meeting. Interior Blue Ridge Luncheonette, day.
Aram's been hanging around Horace and the Fletcher boys.
Addie wipes the counter.
Bad crowd. Remember when old man Fletcher chased Pollock with a shotgun through the dining room at Skyland? It's all part of the show, folks, he said.
They chuckle.
Can't Lebo help with Aram?
Lebo doesn't seem to have much influence anymore.
Esme rises.
I better go start packing.
Exterior park area, day. Lebo, Ham, Horace, and Aram watch as CCC workers blast through bedrock to build a road tunnel at St. Mary's Rock.
You should get jobs at the park. Jesse Henley's been working steady for 6 months. Good pay out here.
Horace spits.
Work with them CCC boys?
Boy, when you get to know a CC boy himself, he's like you. Knocked around, but keeping on going.
Horace glares at Ham.
I ain't joining them.
You ain't stopping them neither.
Horace storms off. Ham looks around, uncertain. He follows. Aram watches Horace and Ham leave. He looks at Lebo.
Tain't the way, son.
Aram shakes his head at Lebo, takes off after Horace and Ham. Exterior Skyline Drive, day. A CCC crew stacks a dry stone wall along Skyline Drive. A shower of rocks rains down on them. They look up, startled, run for cover. Horace, Aram, and the Fletcher boys crouch behind the boulders, pick up more rocks. Exterior Mountains, day. Horace and the Fletcher boys watch a CCC crew hammer a floor on a primitive wood shelter. Horace nods at the Fletcher boys. They run at the shelter, yell and wave lit torches. The crew scatters. Exterior Will's office, night. Will walks from his office to a dusty sedan. He reaches for the door handle, hears the cock of a rifle. He turns around slowly, faces Jerry aiming a rifle at him. Will backs up against the car door. They stare at each other, Will visibly terrified, Jerry menacing. Jerry smirks. He uncocks his gun, walks away. Will breathes a sigh of relief. Exterior Mountains, night. Aram, Horace, and Ham sneak up behind a large construction truck parked on an unfinished overlook.
You're a lookout. Stand over there.
Aram creeps away, watches from the shadows, Earl at his side.
You know how to run one of these?
I can figure it out. I'll start it. Take off the brake. You help me push it over the edge.
Horace climbs in the truck. He pokes around, flips switches, pushes buttons. Nothing happens.
Look for the key.
I am.
Horace keeps looking, no luck.
Just take the brake off. We can push it.
Horace releases the brake, jumps out. They stand in back and push. Aram rushes up, pushes with the men. The truck doesn't budge.
What now?
Horace thinks.
Fetch Jerry and Jimmy.
Later, Aram and the men push the truck, no luck.
Let me try something.
Jerry shoots at the truck. Ping, ping, ping. The men run for cover as the shots ricochet around them.
Just the tires, Jimmy.
I'm Jerry, you dang fool.
Sorry.
Jimmy grabs the gun from Jerry. He takes aim, fires again. Pop, pop, pop. Yip, yip, yip. Aram looks down at Earl. Earl lies still. Interior Esme's barn, night. Ham kneels in front of Earl, wraps his leg with a white bandage. Aram stands off to the side, cries. Esme comforts him.
He'll be okay. He got his leg, but went clear through.
You're lucky, boy.
It could have been you shot. I don't want you anywhere near those men again. You hear me?
Aram nods, his shoulders heave.
What's going to happen now?
I expect we'll find him.
Esme pulls Aram close.
What about Aram?
I can't see they'd fuss with him. Sheriff Bridges wants the Fletcher boys and Horace.
And me?
I'd lay low if I was you.
Esme starts to cry.
I'll be fine, Esme.
She shakes her head.
No, you won't. None of us will.
The men don't know what to say. Interior Will's office, day. A crew foreman stands before Will's desk.
The rocks ain't the half of it. They've been stealing tools, knocking down the walls, even set fire to one of the new shelters. My men won't work anymore.
Exterior Lebo's cabin, day. Lebo leans against his front door. Will pleads with him.
I don't want to use force, but I can't let them molest me or my workers.
They want you to leave them be.
I'm doing my job, Lebo.
Folks don't like the way you've been doing your job.
They look up to you.
Lebo eyes Will, strokes his beard.
We go back.
Lebo shakes his head.
Can't help you. Every tub has to sit on its own bottom.
Exterior Clyde's filling station, day. Clyde and Addie watch as Sheriff Bridges leads a handcuffed horse to his car.
You're gonna tell me who was with you the other night?
Horse grunts.
Never mind, I think I know.
Exterior Fletcher cabin, day. Sheriff Bridges and a deputy haul Jimmy and Jerry to their car. Ham washes from the woods. Jimmy sees Ham, says nothing. Exterior Skyline Drive, day. Park police carry rifles, guard the CCC crew as they pave an overlook. Exterior Esme's farm, day. Esme works in the garden alongside Lebo, Aram, and Ginny. They watch Sheriff Bridges, another car, and a pickup truck full of CCC boys roar past them. Shriek! Esme looks up. 2 hawks fly overhead. Esme and Lebo look at each other. Something's about to happen. They take off down the road. Aram and Ginny follow. Earl limps behind Aram. Exterior mountain road continuous. The racing caravan stops in front of a small farm. Lebo and Esme stop. Watch.
Thelma's pregnant. What are they gonna do?
Aram and Ginny catch up.
What's happening?
Sheriff Bridges jumps out of the first car, followed by his 2 deputies. They march toward the front door. Will slowly climbs out of the second car. Lebo eyes him. Sheriff Bridges bangs on the door. Lebo puts his arm around Esme.
Mama, what's going on?
Esme shakes her head.
Thelma! Walter!
No answer.
You need to come out. Don't make me use force.
No answer.
Take the boy home, Esme.
Esme can't react. She's frozen in place. Bridges nods to the deputies. The deputies ram the front door with a short log. Exterior farmhouse, continuous. Esme, Ginny, Aram, and Lebo watch the 2 deputies drag a pregnant Thelma Ritter out of her house by her arms. The deputies let go of her in front of a wagon piled with furniture and clothes. She collapses on the ground, wailing. Earl barks furiously at the commotion. Esme rushes to Thelma, grabs a blanket off the wagon, places it around her shoulders. Earl and Aram follow.
You have a place to go, Thelma?
Thelma nods, buries her face in Esme's shoulder. 2 CCC workers creep toward the wagon. One picks up an old clock. Esme and Thelma don't notice. Aram spies the men, so does Earl. Earl barks. The sheriff glances at Earl, observes the men.
Hey! Get away from there!
Esme looks up, startled. The 2 men back away. Will stands apart from the crowd. He pulls his watch from his vest pocket, checks the time, puts it back. He nods to Bridges, who signals the 2 CCC boys. The boys set torches to the house. It catches fire with a loud whoosh. Walter Ritter runs up the road toward the burning house. Thelma sees him, terrified.
Walter, no!
The deputies yank Walter away from the house. Walter shrugs them off angrily and embraces Thelma. A burst of fire swallows the house. Sheriff Bridges stares at the ground. Sadness clouds his features. Will stares at the fire, seemingly unmoved. He checks his watch again. He catches Lebo staring at him. Lebo looks away, unsmiling. Esme and Aram return to Lebo and Ginny.
Them CCC boys got long fingers, Uncle Lebo. Earl caught him trying to steal Ms. Ritter's clock. They's trying to survive, son, same as us.
Esme pulls Aram and Ginny toward her. Tears pool in her eyes.
Why burn their house?
So nobody can't move back in.
Lebo glances over at Will and Sheriff Bridges.
Government takes what it wants.
Exterior Esme's farm, day. Esme sweeps the front porch. She watches as a pickup truck laden with pots and pans, children, and an old rocker makes its way along the road in front of the farm. The woman in the cab waves at Esme as they pass. Esme waves back. Aram comes around from the back, watches the truck pass.
That the Spencers?
Esme nods.
Folks are packing up, leaving.
Why don't they stay and fight?
Some folks don't have fight in them.
It's over, ain't it, Ma? We have to leave.
Esme puts her arm around Aram, comforts him. Exterior Clyde's house, day. Sheriff Bridges stands with his 2 deputies, bangs on the door.
Clyde! Come on now, Clyde. Let me in so we can talk.
Interior Clyde's house, continuous. Clyde goes to the door, doesn't open it. Addie stands nearby, shaking.
I'm standing on my constitutional rights.
Intercut, Bridges and Clyde.
Clyde, I've got an eviction notice. You need to come out.
I want to talk to the president.
Bridges and the deputies exchange looks.
He's busy running the country, Clyde. He can't talk to you right now.
You take care of your business, I'll take care of mine.
Bridges frowns, turns to the deputies.
Not today, boys.
Interior Will's office, day. Bridges stands in front of Will's desk. Will runs his hand through his now almost white hair.
Do I have to get the judge to hold you in contempt?
No, but after the Ritters, if there's any other way.
There isn't.
Exterior Ham's farm, day. Sheriff Bridges leads Ham, wearing handcuffs, out of his house. Reporters and photographers crowd around them, jostle for position, snap pictures. A group of CCC boys leans against the fence, observes without interest. They each hold an unlit torch. Esme confronts Bridges.
What's going on?
Stay out of this, Esme.
Esme turns to Ham.
You all right?
Ham nods.
Why?
He's been notified more than once. I gotta enforce the law, Esme.
Esme turns her back on Bridges.
Even when I don't like it.
Esme looks at Ham. He shrugs sheepishly.
I didn't sign anything, Esme. Just like you told me.
Esme looks at him, helpless. Bridges nods to the CCC boys. They light their torches, march towards the house. Esme can't watch. Exterior Carter's castle, day. Esme stands in the ornate parlor, confronts Carter about Ham's eviction.
You said he was safe.
No, you said that. I was told the park wouldn't impact his farm. Now, for some reason, the drive goes through it. And what about you? You were behind the lawsuit, weren't you?
Esme looks down.
How can I trust you now? We'll have to have a serious discussion before we get married.
Esme glares at Carter. Her look changes from anger to fear.
Clyde. Clyde's next.
Exterior Thornhill gas station, day. An unmarked police car drives up to the pump. Clyde comes out to wait on it. 2 men in dark suits jump from the car, handcuff Clyde before he can react.
Hey!
The men flash badges. Bridges and his deputies arrive. News reporters and photographers jump from their cars, sprint to the pumps. Photographers snap pictures, pop flashes that startle Clyde. A dirty green truck carrying CCC boys rattles up, stops. The boys jump off. Some run toward Clyde and Addie's house, others rush into Addie's diner. Addie and Esme burst out of the house, past a group of CCC boys rushing in. Addie looks around in bewilderment as the CCC boys carry furniture out of the house and dump it on the road. She tries to go back in her house, but a deputy stops her. The men drag Clyde to the sheriff.
I waited as long as I could.
Clyde gives the sheriff a dark look.
The Star-Spangled Banner still waves. A free man can't be treated like this.
The men drag Clyde toward their car. Clyde struggles to escape. They keep a tight hold. He tries to sit on the ground, but they drag him along, his shoes skidding through the dirt.
This ain't legal.
The 2 men hustle Clyde toward the car. Photographers snap pictures right and left. Addie sobs. Esme watches in disbelief as her world falls apart.
This can't happen in the free country. Oh, say, can you see?
Exterior Esme's farm, day. Esme and Lebo sit on her porch swing. Esme's eyes are red from crying.
Should have seen him. He was devastated that the government would turn on him like that.
Lebo nods.
He thought the Constitution would protect him.
Lebo strokes his beard.
Ain't no way the government we're gonna lose.
Esme dries her eyes.
I'll tell Carter when I get back from Richmond. I'm having lunch with a friend from Miss Jenny's. Might as well look for a wedding dress, too.
Lebo shakes his head. Esme knows he thinks it's a bad idea.
I need to secure the future for Ginny and Aram.
Nobody can't do that.
Addie said the same thing.
You should listen to her.
Interior tea room, Richmond, day. Esme sits at lunch with her friend Martha Blair Reynolds, 40s. who drips with diamonds and fur. She looks like a Tiffany lamp.
You never belonged there anyway. You're nothing like those people.
Those people?
You know what I mean. I'm trying to help, that's all.
Awkward silence. Martha Blair thinks of a new topic.
Oh, I heard about your engagement. Will you get married in the chapel at Miss Jenny's?
Who told you that?
Helen, of course. She's delighted to finally have you in the family.
Is she?
Especially now that Carter settled his business with the park. He's quite the hero with the governor.
Esme spills her coffee.
What did Carter do?
Well, he gave the government an easement so the park could go all the way to Rockfish Gap and the Blue Ridge Parkway. I heard even the president was impressed.
Esme is stunned. Martha Blair sees her reaction, misinterprets.
I know. Should do wonders for Carter's career. You might even be living in the governor's mansion one day.
Interior Carter's Richmond home, day. Esme stands in Carter's living room, pulls her gloves off as if she's getting ready for a fight, which she is.
Brula will bring tea in shortly.
I won't be staying.
What's wrong?
I had lunch with Martha Blair Reynolds today. Why did you tell your sister we're engaged when I haven't given you my answer?
Beulah enters with the tea tray. Carter waves her off. She scurries away.
Martha Blair told me about your deal with the park.
Well now, it was a matter of public duty, really. You see, they wanted the land so badly. But the drive would have marred my mountain view, so
So you lied to me and betrayed Ham.
That's a bit harsh. After all, he's a distant relation. And what about you? You went behind my back and joined up with your mountain kin.
Esme shakes her head in disbelief.
Do you know why I chose to live with my kin all these years?
Carter shakes his head.
After James died, everyone looked out for me. Lebo, Ham, Clyde, all of them. They helped with the farm, helped raise Ginny and Aram. I thought if I lost them, I lost everything.
I'm not going to apologize for my actions. I'm preserving my family's heritage.
Your family's heritage? What exactly does that mean to you?
It means protecting my investments.
Is that what I am? An investment?
Esme realizes.
You wanted the part of Leeds estate next to the orchard.
Don't be ridiculous. I love you.
I think you're confusing love with an investment portfolio.
Esme shakes her head, picks up her gloves.
Esme, don't. I've waited my whole life for you.
Please, I've seen that movie too.
What?
It's a new expression.
She puts her gloves on.
I'm sure you'll find an aging debutante to take my place.
Exterior Esme's farm, day. Esme's farm stands empty. Animals gone, pens empty. Gardens wilted, weeds already taking over. Exterior mountains, day. A line of black cars crawls along Skyline Drive. Passengers admire the mountaintop vistas. Aram stands on a ridge, observes the cars. Earl sits next to him. Two hawks fly overhead, screeching. Exterior Thornhill property, day. Addie and Esme watch a crew dismantle the gas pumps, knock down the picket fence.
New store in Front Royal will be good for us. Bigger diner for me. Electric gas pumps for Clyde.
Esme hugs her. Esme cries.
You'll be fine. You're a tea bag in hot water, just like Mrs. Roosevelt says. Don't know your strength till it's tested.
Across the street, another crew builds a ranger station. A third crew installs a large sign, "Welcome to Shenandoah National Park." Interior Esme's house, continuous. Esme and Ginny wrap dishes in paper, pack them into boxes. Ginny smiles as she wraps each dish. Esme does not. She's a million miles away. An open box sits on a table filled with things from Ginny's room, a frilly pillow, books, a photograph of Clark Gable, insert label on box. Delivered to Miss Jenny's School for Girls, 600 Grove Avenue, Richmond. Knock. Owen walks in. He avoids Ginny's gaze.
Thought I'd see how you were getting on.
He looks around.
Where's Aaron? I wanted to say goodbye.
He's supposed to be packing.
He's at Lebo's.
Esme looks up, surprised and cross. Ginny keeps packing.
Everything all set?
I start at Miss Jenny's same time as Ginny.
Ginny groans.
I can't believe my mother's teaching at my new school.
Owen and Esme laugh. Esme gets up, extends her hand to Owen to shake.
Thank you.
Owen takes her hand.
No, ma'am, don't thank me. In the end, I didn't help you.
You did. You helped. And you lost your job in the process.
Well,
Owen grins.
What?
Ginny perks up.
a partner from a Richmond law firm was in the courtroom during oral argument. And he offered me a job.
That's wonderful.
Ginny smiles mischievously.
Richmond?
Owen grins.
I'm still too old for you.
Not for long.
Interior Will's office, day. Will, Arnold, Harry, and George celebrate with cigars and bourbon.
Every last deed has been given to the face.
Will's hair is white. He looks exhausted. Arnold takes a puff from his cigar.
Well, the last item of business.
George looks pleased. This is it, the payoff. Will takes a paper out of his jacket pocket, unfolds it. George leans forward to take the contract.
It's not exactly a secret, but I prepared a list of locals I recommend be allowed to stay in the park.
Will hands the paper to Arnold. George looks surprised, not what he was expecting.
For how long?
Until they pass. Most won't last, but a few more years.
None of the troublemakers, I hope?
Only those who cooperate.
Arnold laughs. The others look at him, surprised. They've never heard him laugh before.
Ironic.
They look blankly at Arnold.
Only people willing to move get to stay.
They resume drinking and smoking. George smiles awkwardly. They pay no attention to him.
Gentlemen, I believe there is one additional item of business to discuss.
What's that?
My contract.
Contract?
For the concessions.
The men feign surprise.
Not sure what you mean.
I was led to believe that I would be allowed to remain in the park.
Oh, yes, of course. You're on the list.
List? No, I mean...
Will and Arnold exchange embarrassed looks. Turn to Harry. Harry coughs.
Look, Polly, I always enjoyed coming to Skyland. You're a charming and generous host, but you ran Skyland like a fraternity house.
According to your application, Skyland never turned a profit. Not in the 40-some years you ran it.
George falls back into his chair.
Look here, Polly. You still have the proceeds from the Skyland sale.
George scoffs.
Creditors.
All of it?
George lets his chin fall to his chest, slumps.
Well, you and your wife can live in the lodge for as long as you want.
George slumps further in his chair.
Maisie owns the lodge.
Exterior Lebo's farm, day. Esme guides her truck onto Lebo's property. Lebo waits outside his cabin, holds a brace of fish in one hand, a paper in the other. Earl sits next to him, tail wagging. Esme gets out, confused.
Why aren't you packed? Clyde's bringing his truck tomorrow.
Lebo hands the paper to Esme. She reads, looks up, smiles. Lebo gestures toward a field where Aram leads a horse and plow.
He's putting the garden back in.
Esme watches Aram fiddle with the horse's bridle, return to the back, guide the horse and plow through the black, rich soil.
Letter says you can have a caretaker stay with you. I assume that's Aram?
Lebo scoffs.
Caretaker. I'm still taking care of him.
She watches Aram. He sees her, waves.
He has to finish school.
County's building a new one at the foot of the mountain.
Make sure he goes.
Of course.
They watch in silence.
Ham and Cricket both got houses in Ivy.
Lebo chuckles.
Bet Ham don't like that small yard.
He's adjusted.
Esme kisses him on the cheek.
Fancy some peach brandy before you go?
In a minute.
Esme heads toward Aram. She looks up, sees the hawks overhead. Exterior Shenandoah Park, day. Present day. Late April, the sky a solid teal blue, no clouds. 2 hawks fly overhead. A subcompact drives up to a ranger station. Super. Thornhill Gap entrance. A hiker, 20s, attractive in a wholesome way, pokes her head from her car window, speaks to the park ranger, excited about something. The ranger leans out the station window, takes her driver's license, studies it.
Do you have a key, Miss, Renata?
She nods.
Careful on the fire road. We've had a lot of rain lately. Could be a sloppy going.
The ranger looks at her car, a small all-wheel drive hatchback.
Should be all right.
She drives off. The ranger watches her go, notices a Jefferson University Law School sticker next to a bumper sticker that reads, "Remember the children of Shenandoah." Exterior park, continuous. She drives slowly along Skyline Drive. The road is clogged with tourists. She passes a sign, Thornhill Gap Overlook. She turns off the drive onto a gravel road, stops in front of a chain blocking it. She gets out, unlocks the padlock. She drives down the rocky, uneven road bounded by hardwoods. All traces of farmland are gone. She stops at a clearing, gets out, grabs her backpack. She ventures toward stone steps flanked by overgrown boxwoods. The steps rise toward a house that's no longer there. Hydrangea bushes, vines entwined through them, still bloom. She bends over the flowers to take a closer look.
Amazing.
She takes a picture. She walks around the house, follows a short, overgrown trail to another small clearing. Down near her feet, she spies a glint of silver. She looks around as if someone might be watching. She pulls a small orange spade from her backpack. She kneels down, digs, pulls up Mrs. Vanderheusen's shoe. She scrapes leaves away, finds more shoes, broken pottery, and old newspaper. She unfolds the fragile paper, faint but legible, scans a faded photograph of a group of well-fed white men in suits. George Pollock poses in the middle, smiles like a carnival barker. Insert headline, Virginia chosen for next national park. She looks at the photograph again. Near the edge, several lean, doleful adults, including Lebo, look into the camera, unsmiling. She goes back to her car, retrieves a bouquet of flowers. She enters a small graveyard surrounded by a metal fence. She places Black-Eyed Susans on headstone. Insert headstone. Esme Fairfax Thornhill, born March 23, 1894, died July 4, 1976. Loving wife and mother, the mountains are calling and I must go. Sorry. She looks up, watches two hawks race across the spring sky. Fade to black. Black screen super. As of 1940, 19 families still lived in Shenandoah National Park. As each person died or moved away, their home was leveled and the forest was allowed to take over. Annie Shank was the last resident in the park. She died in 1979 at the age of 92. Fade out.